Do you ever wonder how to build a love of reading or help students who rarely read catch up on background knowledge and vocabulary? So often as educators, we struggle to figure out how to even the playing field or just close the gap a bit when it comes to reading. Today, I have the skinny on why I read at least 100 picture books, and honestly, it's probably closer to 180 every year to my students. This strategy has been a game changer for my students, and today I have all my reasons and all the benefits that students receive from being immersed in literature. I'm Lisa Burns, a teacher success coach, veteran elementary teacher, and mom of 5. And this is the Teach Joyfully podcast. Thanks for joining me today. Are you missing out? Team H.O.P.E Insiders get extra encouragement, tips and tricks, surprise freebies, and more. Become a H.O.P.E Insider today and get access to all kinds of freebies at www.hopeineducation.com/vault. So let's just dive right in. 2 questions I get quite often are, 1, why do I read so many books? And 2, shouldn't you reread books often to dive deeper? Of course we should reread books to dive deeper. We do both as the books for the week are paired. We read, reread, and compare and contrast and do all kinds of things with the picture books as we go throughout the week. This way, not only do students get exposure to a lot of different books and different genres, they also get the opportunity to dig deep into some of those books. So they get both. So reading more books gives students a wider experience and knowledge base, larger vocabulary, and the ability to see connections and differences in settings, characters, voice, point of view, plot lines, and much more. It also helps students find what they like best: authors, types and styles of writing, characters, genre, all kinds of things. I can just hear you because I've heard it before. Lisa, I don't have time to choose, much less read, that many books. It's actually not that difficult to choose books to go with your curriculum. However, it can be a little bit time consuming. I like to set a designated time to simply go through the entire curriculum and choose books for anything that I feel like needs that enhancement. And I choose books for all of my language arts. This is a great way to get it done, and then you're set for the year. I have teachers who sign up for coaching calls with me, and that's exactly what we do. We spend an hour going through everything in our curriculum and choosing books. And then it's done. It's one less thing for them to do during the school year, and it makes it easy to plan ahead and get books from the library and order books, whatever they need to do to have them on hand and ready to go. I'll put the scheduling link in the show notes in case you decide you want some help. So how do I fit it all in? By incorporating books right into the curriculum, it makes reading this many books so much easier. It makes it natural, it flows well, and students learn better. And honestly, every book we read doesn't need to be belabored to the point of agony. You don't have to reread every book 5, 10, or 15 times. You really don't. Sometimes you can just read a book and enjoy it, use it in your curriculum, and then move on. Students will pick it up and reread it if they're still interested. Books of all types can be incorporated into reading, writing, even social studies, math, and science. That doesn't mean that there's a book for every one of those subjects every day, but there's always at least one book for reading and writing, and I try to incorporate a book into one of the other disciplines at least once a week. So it's not just one more thing to do. Here's part of my theory. While I can't control how much my students are read to at home, I can control how much they are read to in class. I also make the books available to students to reread, look at, listen to during their reading time. So many books already have read alouds done on them through YouTube, Storyline Online, or you can record yourself reading a book and do a QR code so students can just bring it up and listen to the book as they look through it. I also have parent volunteers who come in and will read at one of the centers so that the students can hear some of the books again, or a teacher assistant or para can do that as well. Another way to extend this is to do 2 Book Tuesday book bags. So what is a 2 Book Tuesday book bag? It's a book bag with 2 paired books that are going to be read or have been read at some point during our school year. Included in the bag are activities, questions, all kinds of things for families to be able to do a deep dive into the books. For families who don't speak English, it's nice to have an online read aloud that the student can listen to, and then have the activity sheet translated for them in the book bag as well. The activities are printed on cardstock and they're laminated, and they're stuck into the bag with the books. So students can check out a 2-book book bag. So it has 2 books and all of the activities. They check them out on a Tuesday and they're due back on a Thursday. I keep it simple with only 6 book bags, and students are allowed to check out 1 book bag per month. This means that we only do 2 Book Tuesday book bags 6 months out of the year. All right, moving on. Another objection I get is, but I want to read a chapter book to my class too. So do it. If you need to replace rereading a few days, that's okay. Or incorporate a chapter book choice into the books for the unit, just like you are incorporating all of these picture books. Maybe you're going to substitute some of the picture books for a chapter book. That's okay. Just read and immerse your students in books, in all genres of books. Still not convinced? Well, here's 9 benefits students receive when you read this many books each year. Reading that many books enhances curriculum and makes learning more memorable. Think about it. How many times have you found the perfect picture book to teach a certain concept? If you can find one to pair with it, even better, because students really get to dig in and understand that concept in so much more detail because they have a great example. That's what mentor texts are. Reading this many books benefits everyone, from your highest students to your lowest students, and it brings any child who has hardly read to at home up to a new level that they could never have achieved without it. And don't even get me started about the background knowledge that your students receive by reading this many books. This exposure to such a wide variety and such an amount of knowledge really does open up all kinds of background knowledge that students can access in every area of their learning. In addition, they learn tons of new vocabulary in the context of all of this reading, and that vocabulary that's learned in context is much stickier. It sticks better in the brain. We understand it differently. We have a different visualization of it, and so it's more memorable. Also, book knowledge increases. Students gain so much in book knowledge, whether it's about characters, setting, how books sound, all kinds of different pieces that they can learn, and they can review and practice and learn them in different kinds of books all across the board. This makes students incredibly flexible in their thinking and in their application and synthesis of book knowledge. And then there's fluency. Hearing books read every single day increases students' fluency. It's really difficult to become a fluent reader if we don't have a good model of fluent reading. By reading this many books, we have just provided an incredible fluent model of reading every day in the school year. And that is worth its weight in gold. And don't forget all of the comprehension skills that students get to practice with you as you read and talk about all of these books. Students will learn not only comprehension skills as you're reading each book and as you talk about each book, but then as you compare and contrast books as well. And this really drives those comprehension lessons home. By reading so many books, it gives you the opportunity to read an incredibly wide variety of genre. Increasing students' genre knowledge not only gives them better understanding of books, but it also gives them the opportunity to find what they like. It gives them the opportunity to see what genres they like, which opens up a whole new way to search for books. And last but not least, a joy of reading. When we read all the time, students learn to love books. They learn to love them because they're hearing them and they're involved in them. We make them exciting and fun, and students learn that books are a great thing. It's also unifying for our classroom because we have all this background knowledge. We have characters who are like good friends that we can talk about. We have all of this shared memory, and that in and of itself creates a sense of community. So reading is no longer a solitary thing. Yes, it can be, but it also can be a group thing. It can be a family thing. So reading now becomes something that's much bigger than one child and one book. And that's where reading gets really fun. I love a good book. I can get immersed in a good book and I can simply read it over and over again myself. But when I can talk to someone else about it who loves these books as much as I do, I get even more excited about the book. Let's face it, we can't control what happens at home in regard to reading. The more time we read to, with, and listen to students read, the better their reading skills and the chances of learning to love reading. Reading is never a waste of time. Reading goes with all subjects, and there are great books out there for lots of topics across the curriculum. And it can unify our curriculum in ways that you cannot even begin to imagine. Get out there and really look for books. I have a great love for children's books, and what you find on Amazon and in Barnes & Noble and some of these big box stores is great and all, but they're very tailored to what the current thought process is and whatever is trendy. If you can find some indie bookstores with some great children's sections, you can find books you would have found before. I highly recommend that you go out and start looking for some of these indie bookstores. I will link a couple of my favorites in the show notes for you. You can shop them online. I have one in particular that I absolutely love. It is in Denver, Colorado. It's called the Bookies, and it has been around forever. The wonderful thing about the Bookies is they have children's books grouped by section. So if you're looking for historical picture books that go with almost any topic, they have a section for that. If you want to look for something about science, they have a section for that of just picture books. It's amazing. And so going there to find books to go with almost any topic they just make it so easy. I wish more bookstores would do that because it really does make things easy for teachers. It's a little harder to look online, but you could certainly call them and tell them what you're looking for, and I'll bet they'd have some great recommendations. Anyway, if you have a bookstore like that, I would love to do an entire segment on great bookstores that are out there. Send me an email and let me know. I would love to hear all of your recommendations and check them out. Another great place to look for book recommendations to go with your curriculum is Pinterest. If you look at my Pinterest boards, I actually have a board that is mentor text, and it has a collection of mentor text for all kinds of occasions and curriculum. So you can take a look there on both books lists that I've created and book lists that I've curated that others have created that I think are good lists. So that's a great place to look. Also, if you're looking for book suggestions. And remember, if you want some help with curating a book list for your curriculum for the year, you can schedule with me. I'll put the scheduling link in the show notes for you, and we can have an hour or so to go through your curriculum and talk through all of the books that you might want to consider to go with your curriculum. I also have a bunch of free mentor text lists available to you to help you get started, so you can grab those in my vault. I'll have the link in the show notes for that as well. There's, anything from teaching poetry to behavior to using text evidence, you name it, there's a whole bunch of them there. It's a great way to jumpstart your book search and planning. So that's it for this episode of the Teach Joyfully podcast, my teacher friends. My sincere thanks to you, my listeners, for tuning in, and for all those of you who've taken the time to post a review, email me your thoughts, or DM me on Instagram with your feedback and topic requests. You can find the show notes and all the resources mentioned in the episode on my website at www.hopeineducation.com/podcast. And remember, a happy teacher is a good teacher. Until next time, teach joyfully and take care of you.